Welcome back to my lessons on meditation techniques. I'm Madame Sensei. I teach Spanish, French, Japanese, English language arts, and over the summer I teach Wanick Summer Health. And again, this is metacognition. I'm teaching my students how not to be stressed. And for the summer school, I teach them one meditative technique a day because stress reduction is an important part of health class. And, I sprinkle these into my other classes as needed. So, what we talked about in part one, because this is part two, part one, I talked about why people need meditation. I told you how I teach my students to breathe properly at first. So, we do breath awareness first, and then I teach my students loving kindness meditation on day 2, and I teach them mindfulness. And I teach them progressive relaxation. That's all on part 1. And that's where we stopped because I'm so long-winded. I talk so long, that was 10 minutes. All right. Then, when I'm sure my students know how to breathe properly, I teach them yoga, which is really great because a lot of students have heard about yoga, but they don't really know anything about yoga. So we can talk about the cultural aspects of it. And, the students are very sedentary nowadays, and so getting them out of the chair is so hugely important. All right, so I've chosen 5 of the easiest yoga poses to teach my students, and we do them. I got the pictures here. I don't even remember where I got the pictures from. I'm sorry, I'm a bad teacher. I don't cite my sources, but just walking through the simplest poses, and of course I'm doing it with them, and I'm counting for them. And this is the most important part, I think, the inhale into the pose, because as their hands are up, they'll start degrading. The hands will start going down. The kids will start getting goofy and moving around and stuff. And you got to keep reminding them, okay, when you breathe, when you're inhaling, make it really super strong. Make it strong. So first we do the mountain pose. Then we do the warrior. I think the warrior is one of the most fun to do for the kids. But you gotta, you have to teach them where your feet go, not just follow me, guys, but you got to show them, okay, the feet are perpendicular to each other, and their arms will not be perpendicular to the floor until you teach them they've got to be perpendicular, because the interoception, the knowing where your body is located in space, is pretty poor when you first start this. Okay, so do 1 to 5 breaths for that. Plank. Okay, now I was paralyzed 23 years ago. This is very, very difficult for me. So I also show my students how to do the plank against the wall. Okay, if they can't do this. But the main thing is the toes are down, but the heels are up, because the next one that we do is going to be a little different. This one served me in really great stead because I also got my students all certified in CPR, and I pointed out to them, hey, remember when we're doing the plank? Let's go do the plank right now. Okay, you feel how your shoulders are? When you're doing CPR, this is going to exhaust you. 10 minutes of CPR, you are going to be tired. It's got to come from the shoulders, people. It's got to come from the shoulders. So, doing the plank before we learned CPR was really great, and I'm going to have to make sure that we do that every single year. That worked out really well. Okay, so plank. And the other thing is they don't know where their posterior is located. So remind them that as much as possible, this has to be in line. Okay, tree. Now tree, I do in a modified way because my balance is really bad. Not just the broken leg, but because I was paralyzed 23 years ago, and I do walk like Frankenstein even without a broken leg. So I show them how to keep one leg on the ground, but the second leg is just on toes, or hold on to something. And we've got chairs, we've got desks, we've got walls in the classroom. They can hold on to something, and that's okay. But here's the tree pose. This is pretty standards, okay? And then switch sides. Downward facing dog. Okay, so remember we did the plank and the heels were up. Downward facing dog, the heels are down. And there's a lot of giggling when we do this, but the students really like it. I mean, some of them are going to demand it each time because we revisit them constantly. And some students are kind of embarrassed. And I'm like, okay, you can do it against the wall with me. That's fine. But this is a classic pose. And for those of us who've given birth, we know this one because when we take our pregnancy yoga classes, this is a common one, okay? Because it's supposed to get the baby into a good position. Actually, my first baby was breech, so just saying, maybe doesn't help quite so much, but it's a good exercise. This is a great stretch for your calves. That's fabulous. Okay. Then the next day we talk about transcendental meditation. We just talk about it, all right? And here I'm always like every year it goes on. Students are less and less familiar with the Beatles, and that is just heartbreaking to me. But I have to point out that the Beatles are the ones who popularized it in the United States. Okay, so oops, didn't mean to do that. My mouse is dying on my computer. You probably hear it beeping. Okay, so there's good beeps right now. That's probably there. All right, so you need a mantra. And so for transcendental meditation, because I am not a practitioner of transcendental meditation, and I only know the very, very basics of it, I decided I was going to focus on the mantra to repeat while meditating. All right, so for the mantra, I tell my students it's got to sound like a company slogan, okay? Just do it. I'm loving it, but up, whatever, some kind of company slogan, all right? So I show them Floyd Mayweather, who's a boxer. His was hard work, dedication. And I told you before in the previous episode, I like Darius Faroo. His is let's go. That's his mantra. Every single day he gets out of bed, his feet hit the floor. He says, let's go. All right. So that's all we do for transcendental is I have them come up with some slogan, and then we breathe, and I'm like, say it in your head. You don't have to say it out loud. And that's all we do for that. Zen meditation, I am not an expert, okay? But I just tell them this, the basics. You find a comfortable position. You're examining all your thoughts. And again, there is no judgment with the thoughts. So my mindfulness is more than the average American practices mindfulness, but my Zen is less than the average Japanese person practices Zen, okay? But it is a type of meditation, and I do want to talk about it because I can get so much culture in. So for my Japanese classes, when I'm explaining Zen meditation, then we go back to mindfulness, and I say, this is baby Zen, okay? This is not quite Zen. And I have my students sit Seiza for this. Seiza is a way of sitting on the floor, on your feet, and it should not hurt your feet. Your feet should not go to sleep when you're doing it if you're doing it right. But my Japanese students, they know how to sit on the floor. I teach them that day one, right? Okay, then this is one of my absolute favorite meditative techniques. Tai Chi. I love Tai Chi. And, for me, hey, I've been paralyzed before. Hey, I got a broken leg that refuses to heal. I can do Tai Chi. And I'm pointing out to the students, I do Tai Chi. You, young whippersnappers, healthy people, you can do Tai Chi. And it's such a good exercise. And then to get their further buy-in, I point out, this is water bending. This is absolutely water bending. And then we have the students, they just pretend to water bend. And I also say, hey, you'll recognize some of these poses from Dragon Ball. It's Kamehameha, I love Tai Chi so much. And it's so active. And it takes 5 minutes, just 5 minutes to do. So I walk them through a couple of Tai Chi things. You can find a lot of videos on YouTube for Tai Chi if you don't know any. So you could do that. All right. Then the next day, I teach them Zen doodles, Zentangles. I have my micro-credential in art in the classroom, and I feel like art is very important in the class. And I'm so happy. I just joined the Facebook group for Learning Llama. That's 2 L's for learning and 2 L's for llama. And Courtney's presentation at Practical and Comprehensible was so amazing. And I'm really excited to bring even more art into my classroom. But Zen Doodles, such an easy thing to teach your students how to do. Okay, so you're just drawing. Tell them I got this off Pinterest just to demonstrate, but I should probably put my own stuff up there, but this was easier for me. So squiggle lines, just draw squiggle lines all over your piece of paper, okay? And you're not drawing like, oh, I want you to draw Mickey Mouse. No, I want you to draw a man holding a circle. No, it doesn't matter. There's just this stream of consciousness thing, okay? And then after you've got your squiggle lines, then you just choose, hey, I'm going to draw something inside here. I'm going to draw this little triangles. I'm going to draw curved lines. I'm going to draw fish scales. I'm going to draw spirals, whatever. And then if you want, you can add color. And I always have colored pencils on all my table groups. But some students don't like to add color, and that's fine. But we just do this for a little while. And I'm like, look, you're stressed. You could just start doodling. All right. And when I'm lecturing at you, you could be doodling also. You're not paying as much attention to me as I would like, but I do not mind if you are drawing while I'm talking. As long as you're not working on some wonderful masterpiece, because I think when they're working on their masterpieces, some of them are just great artists. When they're working on their masterpieces, they're engulfed in that and they're not listening. But I think with Zen doodles, you can listen. Yes, it's not 100% focus, but for some people, they kind of need to be doing something. If you have something that you absolutely have to be the sage on stage for, guys, just listen to me for 10 minutes and then we'll apply it, because you always do the 10 and 2, or for me, it's like 10 and 5 or 10 and 10. But it's okay if they're doodling, I think. All right, I know I'm over my 10-minute time limit, but I'm almost done, so we're going to press on. The next thing I do, and the students love this so much. 2 days ago, I did it with my class, this summer's class, and oh my God, it took them forever to figure out how their hands move. Like, it was an hour of this, me just trying to teach them to do the finger knitting. But now that they have it, they really love it. And it's like, fidget spinners were such a thing. This is quiet and this is easy and it's not bothering anyone, and they really can concentrate on you while they're doing it. So I put this as a meditative technique because people who knit, people who crochet, they say, it puts me in a Zen state, Zen quote unquote state. All right. There's the repetitive motion of your hands. Your mind can wander while you do that. Once you get good at it, it's in your muscle memory. So for my French students, crochet, right? It's a French thing, right? So I can teach them this. For my Japanese students, we can build off of it to amigurumi, right? So this is really easy to do, and I'm already at 12 minutes. I'm not going to show you how to do it right now, but I basically, I do have to spend a little bit of time ahead of time cutting up some yarn to be the proper length, so I'm not doing it in the thick of the moment. But I just cut yarn that's like over, I have giant chemistry lab tables in my room. I stole them from the chemistry teacher. So I just cut the yarn to be just a little bit longer than that. And so for a class of 30, it takes me a good 5 minutes to cut that yarn, but I do it the day before so I'm not scrambling, okay? And then I can pass out the yarn to each student. And then I show them how they have trouble making the very first knot at first. It's not a knot, it's like a slip knot, okay? They have trouble making that first loop at first. And then sometimes they need me to hold their hands out and show them how the yarn is going to slip off their hand while they're holding the loop. And they keep dropping the second loop. So oh my God, 2 days ago, I'm telling you, it took an hour because I have a class of 30 students this summer. And I had to go, 3 of them were already professional crocheters. And I was like, great, you guys get to help me too. But I had to go around to everyone and say, this is how we do it. Okay. So, and I just have them do the one thread, and they're not doing anything fancy. They're just knotting up that one thread, that one yarn, till they've got this. It looks like this pretty little braid when they're done, and they're really proud of themselves. But they do really like that. It's fun. It's tactile. It's not going to disturb you when they start doing it in class later on. It's not going to disturb any of their other teachers, and it's a really good meditative technique. So I'm putting that in meditation. So as you're helping me brainstorm more meditative techniques, it does not have to be quote unquote meditation. Okay. Think about the things that de-stress yourself and de-stress your students. Okay. Okay. Now I know I'm at 14 minutes. I'm going to just press on. Okay. I told you Tai Chi was one of my favorites. Shinrin-yoku is my absolute favorite. And the whole reason I live out here in the beautiful Pacific Northwest, where I live on 20 acres of forested property is so that I can practice my Shinrin-yoku. So what got me thinking, hey, this would make a pretty good video to put in my metacognition thing was in the in the practical and comprehensible conference, we were talking about lots of stuff, and we got on the topic of Shinrin-yoku, and I pointed out that I am going to be spending my summer watching my tadpoles grow into frogs. So basically what happened was my kids outgrew our kiddie pond, and this is a soft-sided pond that cost like $200, and they outgrew it, and I'm like, don't take it down. I'm just going to let it fill up with rainwater, and it's going to be my frog pond. And look, I have no money. I'm a teacher, right? It's my poor man's koi pond. I can go out here and I can watch the tadpoles swimming around, and there's predaceous diving beetles in here, and man, those larvae are so cool. They are so amazing. And even mosquito larvae looks really cool wriggling around. Those are wrigglers, okay? And no, I don't get bit by mosquitoes because I have 2,000 tadpoles in here, and I'm not kidding you. There are 2,000 tadpoles in here. And my second daughter just got her master's degree in entomology, and she loves looking at all the insects in here. And I left a pool noodle in so they can, little froglets can climb on it, and the froglets climb up the edge. And there's blackberry vines growing over here because we're in the Pacific Northwest. And the little froglets jump up on the leaves, and they use it as a ladder to get out. And in the springtime, this is so deafeningly loud with the frogs croaking. And oh my God, it brings me such joy, and it just makes me so calm to watch my tadpoles swimming around. I just love it so much. So I show my students a video that I've taken. Each year I take a new video of this just to say, hey, this is what I do at home. And this year it was really funny because as I was taking the video, I heard a rustling over here. And I was like, what? And I turned the camera, and there's a deer right there. And I'm like, okay, I'm going to film the deer because the deer's going to hop away. My tadpoles aren't going to hop away. But I live on forested property because I love Shinrin-yoku so much. Like, it calms me down. So after I tell them all about that, this is basically just mindfulness outdoors. It's just appreciation of nature. It is stop and smell the roses, literally. Okay. You remember all the stuff we were talking about mindfulness in the class where, oh, you know, the fluorescent lights are humming and the colleague next door is yelling at his class to do something, and the kid next to me is squeaking his chair. You're just noticing all that. This is you're outside and you're noticing. Okay. So after I explain everything, then I take them on a walk around our school. Okay. We have beautiful sunrises, right? So I take them on a walk around our school, and you know, even like here, I've got gravel out. This is my portable. This is my home away from home, and of course, I got plants outside. But even in the gravel, there'll be dandelions pushing up. So even if you live in a big city, you take your kids outside, and you're like, oh, look, there's some moss growing on the sidewalk. There's a dandelion right here. Look at the petals in detail. When's the last time you looked at the petals in detail? Look, there's an ant crawling across the sidewalk. So you can do all that. Just so happens that my school has a bit of wooded place to it. And actually yesterday we went out and we found thimbleberries and we found huckleberries, and those are delicious, you know. And there's ferns, and I can show the kids, hey, look at the underside of the ferns. So it's just noticing, oh, look, the sun is coming up. It's a bit cloudy. So the sunlight, what color is it? It's a bit yellow. Yeah. Oh, is there a breeze? Is there no breeze? Oh, have you ever really looked at blackberries growing? Okay, they're not mature yet, but you can see how they grow. Oh, look at this hydrangea. Look at how the cluster of flowers is. It's not like a rose, you know. So you're just going and you're just looking at nature in detail. Now, for me, Shinrin-yoku is really important because you see I'm out in a portable right here, right? See over here? I'm going to show you that. This is my moment of zen in the morning. To get to my class, I have to walk past the trash can. This giant dumpster. I have to walk past it. But look, there's this gorgeous sunrise. Absolutely gorgeous sunrise right over the dumpster. Not every morning, but, you know, if I can appreciate the gorgeous sunrise, I can deal with the trash in the foreground, right? So I explained to my students, oh my God, I'm at 20 minutes. I'm so sorry, guys. I explained to my students, if you can find stuff to appreciate, it's going to lower your stress level. So I do love Shinrin-yoku, and that's why I talked about it a lot. I got one more. We're done. Okay, Running or jogging, I am physically incapable of running. I have not been able to run for 23 years since I was totally paralyzed, head to toe. But I have so many friends who talk about having a runner's high, and they say it puts you in a quote unquote Zen state. All right, but that can calm you down. We know that exercise calms you down. So, of course, we do a lot of movement in my classes. And in my health class, it's a health class, guys. We're gonna play some game. We're gonna go play ninja dodgeball. One year we played cricket. That was so much fun. I had students, I heard them talking about cricket, and I'm like, bring your bats tomorrow. And they taught everyone how to play cricket, and it was just amazing. This year they're into a lot of stuff this year. We did volleyball yesterday. We did a lot of volleyball games. We did like volleyball foursquare. But the physical activity, of course, is gonna calm you down. But running, jogging, especially that runner's high. So, I can't do this with my students, but I certainly put it out there to them as this is something you can do. And then I'll go walk around the track while they run around the track. So I am so sorry that lasted so long. But again, I think these are good metacognitive techniques, because anything that's going to reduce your stress, any tool that the student has in their arsenal to reduce their stress. I like how you just use the word arsenal for stress. That's beautiful. English is crazy. All right. Any tool that the students have to reduce their stress is going to help them focus more in their class. So thank you for sticking with me. Please comment below, add other things that I missed, because, everything that we can do to help our students focus is going to be a good thing. So hope to see you on the next one.